What is up, everyone? I hope you all are doing well. My name is Ishaan and welcome to the video. Today I want to talk about something that... My bad, I was just drinking some pre-workout. Today I want to talk about something that I've had a few conversations with my friends about, but not quite as much in depth as I probably would want to get into, so I thought it deserved the whole video. So let's get into it. I want to talk about why I think males and guys are more likely to be on their self-improvement journeys early on in their teenage years and like their early 20s as compared to women and females. And I'll start off by talking about my personal self-improvement journey and why I started. So let me take you all back to high school. So I grew up in Queens, New York City, which is where I moved to when I was 13 years old. So I was born and raised in India first, and then my family moved to New York City when I was 13, and I was in middle school for some time. That was a rough time, so I'm going to skip that part over for today, maybe in another video. But fast forward to 9th grade in high school. I'm a freshman. At this time, I had finally started to get an idea that I was really into girls and that I was looking for a girlfriend at the time, as a lot of like other people around me were, and I think part of me was doing that because of that. Anyways, aside from the point, I met this girl after, like, I was always like trying to meet like girls, but it just wasn't happening because I wasn't putting in a lot of like extra effort for that. I was also trying to focus on my school stuff, so it wasn't more of like a priority for me. But you know, we used to use Ask FM back in the day, and I met this girl by like posting a "to be honest" on her wall because she liked one of my "to be honest" posts, and we started talking. And this was like the second half of freshman year, so like around like, I don't know, maybe Jan, Feb, March, like around that time, I don't know. Anyway, so we started talking, you know, we were texting every day, and I was really into this girl because I was like, yo, she's so cute. She likes, like, it seems like she enjoys speaking to me and stuff, and it seemed like she was invested too. And then there was this week where the whole week my parents were not here for like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, at the time, because they were in India. And I was this 1 week of vacation that we got like off from school, and I'm like texting this girl every single day, and all of a sudden, like, she just says "I love you" to me, which at the time, you know, I was young. You know how young love is. It wasn't really something that she meant, wasn't something that I probably meant. So actually, that may be false. I may have meant it. But so we talking for that week, and like we're, you know, like literally texting every single day. We're talking about like meeting up, things that we're gonna do when we meet up following week in school. And all of a sudden, literally, like, I don't even think school had began, or maybe then she goes, "Oh, I'm not really looking for a relationship, like I'm not really ready for this. I don't think I want to do this." And it broke me, you know, at the time. And I was like, damn, like that's kind of fucked, like, you know, and I wasn't even the first one to say that "I love you" thing. So I was just kind of fucked in my head where I'm like, yo, what? But turned out she actually, within the next couple of days, she started literally, I don't know if they were dating per se, but they started like hooking up and stuff, was with one of the fuckboys from the class. And I don't think either of them are gonna watch this video, so it doesn't really matter, but I'm gonna keep the names confidential anyways. And they started hooking up, and then this fuckboy dude, I was like, you know, okay friends with him. Like, we used to speak here and there, and we were in the same classes and whatnot, and he would brag to me about it in some sort of way. And his whole time, like the whole time, his game plan was to start talking to her and hook up with her so he could start getting close to one of her best friends, because he wanted to date her. And that's the kind of mentality that was there when I was in high school. You know, that's kind of the shit I grew up around. I was kind of just like, well, this kind of a fuck situation. I don't know how I decided to be a part of it, but I was a part of it. So that's where my first heartbreak, like a big one, a major one, occurred, where it pushed me to really internally reflect on myself and think about things. And the following year, another instance happened where I was speaking to this girl. Like, she was so nice. She was super nice, and we had been on like a date or two together, and I think we were really vibing, and it seemed like it was going to be something that could potentially turn into something nice. And then all of a sudden she just stops responding. Bro, just doesn't respond. Just think about that. Imagine you're texting someone, you've hung out with them, basically ghosting. Now it's kind of normal, more acceptable, but back in that time, I was also a kid. And so was she, so, I don't really have any hard feelings or anything, but I think that it could have been handled a bit more maturely on her end, because I think I did everything on my end. But those two heartbreaks were probably the major driving factors in making me internally self-reflect on things and understanding that I was looking for validation from girls at the time because I wasn't giving it to myself. And I was trying to fill this void by trying to have a girlfriend so I could impress other people instead of really focusing on myself and my personal goals and using my time for actual things to find my purpose rather than just seeking validation and popularity in school. I think a lot of guys probably share a similar story where they had some sort of a heartbreak kind of situation where someone really fucked with their mind and their heart, that it drove them to internally go on this journey to better themselves and figure themselves out. And that's why I think one of the reasons why males are more likely to jump on self-improvement journeys earlier on is because guys experience more heartbreak than girls in the high school years. And I'll tell you why. Because girls have options. It's easy. It's definitely much easier for girls, and it's more accessible for girls to find hookups or find relationships as compared to guys. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this, that girls are more likely to find hookups or relationships and much more easily than guys would, because I truly think that is the case in today's world. Like, even if you look at dating apps and stuff, guys are getting like a few matches every 100 swipes that they make, whereas girls, pretty much every person that they swipe right on, they get matched with. So and we can probably look at the statistics for this as well. So I strongly believe that it's one of the things that drives males and guys to be on their self-improvement journeys earlier on is to raise their value internally and externally by focusing on their goals as a man and figuring out who they are before they're ready to actually jump on to giving their time to another person in their life. Another aspect that I want to touch on is I think men have a tendency to feel more lonely because of societal pressures of, oh, you gotta be a man, you can't show your feelings, you can't cry in front of someone. And dude, coming from someone, I used to be a crybaby, like until 8th, 9th grade, until I moved to the US primarily. I would say even in middle school I cried a lot. So until 8th grade, dude, I was so sensitive. Like, people would say stuff to me and I would literally want to cry, and I did. And I had nicknames related to me, like crying. So I grew up in a very constant pressured sort of way where I was feeling like, damn, like I shouldn't cry, I can't cry, men can't cry. And none of this was ever really imposed by my parents or my sister, but it was imposed in school and society. And even at times at home, I felt like there were certain things that, like, if I did cry on certain things, it was frowned upon. So coming from personal experience and the societal pressures and the norms that are set out for men in today's world and like the years leading up to this, I think men are more likely to feel lonely because they can't fully express their emotions, let alone no one ever taught us how to express our emotions effectively. Last I checked, also the suicide rates in the United States for males is higher than women in terms of the attempts and actually following through with it, which is absurdly insane to think about because, like I said, men are never really taught to express their feelings effectively. And on top of that, we're conformed to this idea that we need to hold ourselves together, be strong always, and care for the other person when we're in that relationship. I think that loneliness is also part of the factor that drives men into indulging in self-improvement activities, because it allows you to really get in tune with yourself and really start loving yourself, which can be very powerful, because a lot of men, I feel like, they don't receive enough love in their life from the people around them, because you always got to be strong. You can't always have your emotions expressed. You can't express your emotions to other men. So it's that cycle where there's a continuous external pressure, which drives us to internally reflect on ourselves and our lives and try to work on ourselves to be better. So my self-improvement journey began because of bullying, because I was sensitive and I used to cry a lot, because I was skinny, heartbreaks from girls that I don't think I probably deserved, but I probably didn't need them to get on this journey. And third being not being able to fully express my emotions because I never learned how, and not having learned how to deal with them appropriately either, so I had to teach myself. Overall, like, looking back and reflecting on these experiences, like, I'm pretty grateful for it, but at the same time, you gotta think about how these things kind of instill a little bit of doubt. It takes a hit on your self-confidence during that time, which is exactly what drives us as men to dive into that self-improvement journey, so we can build ourselves up. Men, I think, are more likely to be on their self-improvement journeys because of certain triggers that happen throughout middle school, high school, and college. And I think every man can probably attest to this, that they've gone through some pain in their life that really forced them to internally reflect on themselves and try to build themselves back up. And we need it. I'm telling you, we need that pain. We need that pain. We need those L's, because if we don't get them, we're not going to be able to raise our values as men. So whenever you go through a hard time, whenever you go through a pain, a struggle, tell yourself you need it, because it's going to help you level up. Don't look at it as a bad thing. It's not. It's going to teach you everything, and maybe not everything, but it's going to teach you the things that you need to know in order to build yourself up. And that's one of the most valuable things that you can ever have as a man. If you're a guy or a male on the younger side, you're in middle school, high school, or in your early 20s, then my best advice is to just continue to focus on yourself and build yourself up. Look, at a younger age, you're still trying to figure out who you are. And no one else is going to help you find that except yourself. And there's an inner man inside of you that's ready to grow, that's ready to learn, and that's ready to level up and realize his own potential and his own self-worth. So do yourself the favor. Start putting in the work for yourself and for your goals. Continue to put in the work for yourself and continue to grow. Down the line, your future self will thank you for it. I promise you.